What's going on, Neon Nation? Welcome back to the Neon Arcade for some more Cyberpunk 2077 and Cyberpunk lore. Today we're diving into R. Talsorian's Neo-Tribes Cyberpunk 2077 sourcebook for part 3 of the Nomads and Nomad Nations video series. We'll be talking about the remaining 4 Nomad Nations, 2 of which have been confirmed for Cyberpunk 2077 in the Aldecaldos and the Raffen Shiv. Let's start off with the Aldecaldos. Juan Aldecaldos started his life as a migrant in LA with a stable home life and eventually was the first person from his family to go to college, where he received his degree in engineering. Entering the defense industry, Juan was a simple man and tried to give his family the best life he could. As the defense industry fell to shambles in the period before the collapse, Juan inevitably became unemployed, much to the dismay of even the extended Aldecaldo tree, who heavily relied on him. Although he tried, impoverished conditions worsened for them as they were forced into dodgier and dodgier neighborhoods until the Aldecaldos hit rock bottom in the slums. Things got horrifically worse for him as his daughter was killed in a car accident the day before her 17th birthday, and his son Ramon was shot dead on his 19th birthday after he got involved with a gang called the Red Dogs. TV and media were covering the story, and in an interview with them, Juan snapped, calling out the media, police, president, and government for their apathetic attitude towards their jobs and for the degeneration of LA. This created a ripple effect of like-minded followers and led to over 7,000 people at his son's funeral. After this, however, Juan lost the will to live due to the losses of his children and his wife years prior, but later reignited his spark with a priest named Jonah Dominguez, whom he decided to go on small missions working to help orphans and lost parents with their struggles. Dominguez, who would be known later on as Padre, and Juan formed a sort of block watch where they would call the police incessantly at any sign of threat or gang violence. This did work well and culminated in the reclamation of a subdivision in East LA. The government naturally wasn't too thrilled that simple civilians were doing a better job orchestrating crime disintegration across LA than they were, which led to Juan and Padre being hassled by not only crime, but the very law enforcement they were trying to help. Juan, Padre, and others who had had enough soon left LA to search for better prospects in the fields and the farms. The clan's economy was established after getting a contract from the federal government to, quote, reclaim specific resources, although they would lose this contract to another nation in the Jodes. In 2002, Padre died of a heart attack, forcing Juan to carry on alone, and the clan made their way to Mexico City for yet another contract. Mexico was good to the Aldecaldos as life there was fairly prosperous. The clan, however, moved back into the US in 2005, much to the dismay of the government, and brought a new group of nomads and America's favorite rocker boy Johnny Silverhand, who had been hiding with them for 2 whole years. After Juan's passing in Mexico City, the clan also brought him back to be buried with his wife and kids, and a new leader was appointed in Santiago Aldecaldo. Next up, we have the Thelas Nation, which are essentially sea and marine nomads, but who get classified as pirates. This nation derives their culture from fishermen and coastal inhabitants of the Caribbean. They took their life onto the water to avoid perils of gangs and government agents alike. Now, they're referred to as pirates mainly due to many nomad captains avoiding to register their boats, again in an attempt to avoid detection. Technically, this does classify them as a pirate, and their boats could be confiscated by the Navy, although during this time the Navy is severely weakened and does not have the resources to pursue these nomads. This whole trend of abandoning land to take up the boating life spread like wildfire, and eventually thousands were present along the Mississippi, Missouri, St. Lawrence, Columbia rivers, and the Great Lakes. Mobile marine cities were even formed, moving from place to place to build coastal projects. A sea nomad crew is small, versatile, and close-knit. They work a variety of jobs, including marine farming and aquaculture, smuggling, legitimate cargo hauling, refugee transport, and broadcasting. Broadcasting on the open seas is not only a profitable endeavor when in collaboration with big media who need the reach and resources, but it's also an effective way of breaking information that governments and corporations may have monopolies on. These nomads also do practice traditional piracy and target vulnerable freighters, but use this as a means to loot up on goods, not to harm the freighters on board. A lot of the times the freighters who are simply hired and aren't having their personal belongings stolen per se will stand out of the way for fear that if they do, these waterborne nomads will have to exercise more brutish methods. Obviously, this leads to an even more vilified image in the mainstream media. Next up, we have the Folk Nation, one of the late entries into nomad society, a nascent black culture based on pre-collapse gang structures with Chicago roots. In the mid-90s, they were one of the most powerful gangs in the world and had superseded even the Bloods and Crips for dominance. From the beginning, however, the Folk Nation had a very strong sense of family and unity. Nascent black culture was more in a sociological sense, and the folk adapted the dialect of English that was favored as well as views on urban culture. Many people casted off their native cultures to join the folk and made the decision to abandon them in search for a more aligned identity. At the beginning of the collapse, the folk nation was 50,000 strong, as well as another roughly 50,000 affiliates. The folk weathered the collapse by picking and choosing their battles very carefully, as well as running a large black market distribution channel via Chicago. During this time, the folk evacuated their members out of Dust Bowls like Oklahoma. Their goodwill gained from events like these led them to having the numbers to survive the Chicago bioplague of 2012, and out of this event came the rebirth of the folk nation, with Cool being a standout as the leader of the Kansas area. He urged other leaders of folk nation regions to get on the move and sent chosen individuals from the nation to find work across the country. He did accept a lot of refugees along the way, which gave him his merciful reputation. This is a nation who would preferably be stationed in Chicago, but out of necessity cannot remain static there. They have, however, found their niche in transportation and business and are built on family and responsibility, so illegal dealings are now incredibly rare. Next we have the Raffen Shiv and Wraiths, who have been confirmed to appear in 2077 along with the Aldecaldos. The Raffen Shiv are the most hated of all the nomads and are considered subhuman. They are scavengers and sociopaths who prey on the innocent and weak in nomad tribes. They're outcasts and renegades, and they steal, kill, and enslave. The largest of the Raffen groups are the Wraiths. They mostly travel at night and prey on the unwary. Smaller Raffen groups have given up on the open road, opting instead to move into cities to terrorize them for a few weeks and then move on. They have cybernetics and are usually well armed in armor. Dog Killer, the leader of the Wraiths, is cyber-psychotic and is rumored to wear clothing made of human skin. The hierarchy of the Raffen Shiv is brutal, and stronger members physically abuse weaker ones for sport and are traded like cattle. Other nomads typically dispatch dog soldiers and war parties to eliminate them wherever they're encountered. Raffen are sometimes cultivated by corporations and will do any job, no matter how heinous. Thanks for watching, guys, and for more cyberpunk lore, join Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.